This is a MR20DE engine swap, and if anyone was ever wondering or fighting with pulling these engines and didn't have the space to pull it and decided to pull the whole trans and everything out, or pull the crank pulley, which is a pain. Even my air impact didn't like that crank pulley. Uh, Here's a solution for you. All you got to do, leave the bottom mount on both sides. Both bottom mounts are still there. Let me get this to focus right quick. Yeah, both bottom mounts are still there. You only remove the top mount on the transmission and put you a ratchet strap from the frame rail to the shift bracket, and you just ratchet strap that transmission. You crank that transmission in towards the frame rail, and it moves freely for about 2 inches, and that's more than enough because you already got like 1.5 inches on the passenger side between the tensioner and the frame rail. You got about 1.5 inches, not enough to put a ratchet on it or anything like that. But you got that much, and when you add that 2 inches from just ratchet strapping this transmission and just cranking it a few clicks, then you got enough to pull the engine straight out with no fighting. Like as soon as I did that, remove the last two bell housing bolts, and I had like 2.5 inches between the transmission and the engine, and just lifted it straight out. This is a Nissan four-cylinder MR20DE engine, and there's the old one right there. I didn't pull the crank pulley. I just took the tensioner out to swap it on the new one because the new one, it had like a little bit of a squealing sound and a roar to it, and I didn't want to trust doing all that work and then having to swap that tensioner out. So I just used the other one that I knew was silent when the car was running. So there's that. I had to swap the exhaust manifold because this was an EGR head engine, and it has an extra tube on it that runs to the cylinder head, which you don't need. You can use an EGR engine on a non-EGR car. You just use the old exhaust manifold and the thermostat housing, and you're good to go. But I hope I was able to help somebody out that was looking at this job as a pain because you didn't want to do all the suspension work, pull the CV axles, pull the transmission with the engine, and this just makes it a lot easier. I plan on getting back into buying and flipping cars and figuring out these little workarounds that the book won't tell you about. It changes things, because if you're gonna buy one of these and you know it needs an engine, and you think about having to do all this extra work, you kind of get turned off from it. But yeah, there it is. Thank you for watching.